Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Beazy podcast where we talk about the behind the scenes of the creative industry. And in this episode, we have a very special guest. If you're a photographer, you probably heard about a company called Skylum. They do a photo editor called Luminar. It's a AI based, and today we AI based photo editor, and we have here today Ivan, the CEO of Skylum. I'm very happy to talk to you. And yeah, I will let you introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah, thanks, Rafael. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this podcast. Actually, my name is Ivan Kutanin. I am the CEO of Skylum. I'm working in Skylum for 9 years. My previous experience was I was engineering director of the company, and because of that, I did everything about the technologies inside the company. So we'll have a talk more specific about technologies.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing before we start going into technology itself, I'm curious to know, do you have any creative background, or you came like from technology to develop this, or you have like you were hobbyist photographer or something?
Actually, the funny thing that in my childhood, my father used to have a camera, and I did all the stuff in dark room with him. So we did some photographs, but I did not treat it as my hobby. And personally, I thought that my wife does much better photos than me. But when I joined Skylum, the first thing I bought from the first salary, I think, was the camera. It was Nikon D5100. So it was pretty okay camera, but I even did not know that it was without the lens. So on first month I bought camera, and on the second month I just bought the lens, and I had the opportunity to make shots.
Uh,
And since then, for last 9 years, yeah, I'm hobby photographer. I do a lot of photography. Right now, I'm more about drone photography.
Drone photography.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah, that's really cool. I'm a drone pilot myself. I do FPV drone
Wow,
footage.
that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not photography. I do more video production. Yeah, a lot of music videos and
Wow,
these
cool.
very dynamic shots. It's a lot of fun. Drones are a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. Drones are fun, really.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to go back on the hobbyist photographer,
Yeah.
because when I go and I see your product, or maybe we can tell a bit more. Like I just said, it was a photo editor. What is exactly Luminar? So like if someone from the audience doesn't know the software, they can understand what you guys do, and then we go more in the behind how it works, and yeah, AI and all that stuff.
Yeah, I would say that Asylum is concentrated on photo editing software. We used to have a lot of different applications on mobile, and then we switched more for desktop photo editing applications. And nowadays, Luminar Neo is our flagship product. It's a photo editing platform with extensions. It's full feature solution to do your image from zero to hero. So this is what it is, and we plan to expand it to another platform, so it will be not only on desktop.
Nice, perfect. Yeah, and the first thing when I go and I play around a bit with the product, I see is that like it facilitates a lot of things that especially people getting into the photography, it might be as more like a barrier of entry, because if you're just starting out, there's so much stuff that you need to learn. You need to learn composition, lighting, how to operate the camera itself, because it takes some time to get a grasp of the all the triangle of exposure and then all the technical part of the camera itself. And then you take the shot, and then like, okay, now I wanna make it look nicer. And then usually like most people like heard about Lightroom and Photoshop and all these that is been in the market for ages. And then there is another learning process.
Oh,
Then
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
another steep learning curve. And when I see the product of yours is basically like cutting down about a bit of the learning curve, um, with AI doing a lot of the technical part with you, so you can focus on the more the creative side. Is this a good take on the idea?
I would say yes. I would say that we all, as technician guys, first we all wanted to have some creative hobby, like to be in balance. And one of the founders, pretty cool photographer, and he started the company. Is in his vision to make from complex photo editing something easier. And right now, it's in Skylum DNA. Whatever we do, what technologies do we use, it doesn't matter AI or like just normal algorithms. We all do it for making less complex, easier, but pro quality results. And for us, it's about our personal pain. For me, for example, I first went to Norway to Trolltunga. I had what 1,500 photos and when I came back, I thought that my f-stop was wrong, and all my images were broken, and I failed. And at least thanks to Luminar and other photo editors, I could save about 20 pictures from that trip. So it's personal pain when you do some small mistake, and after that you have completely spoiled the result. So all your efforts that were in this shot, in this trip, actually, and you try at least save something. And because of that, we understand that it's more about understanding what happens, but we understand that what our customers need. They need the result. And yeah, lots of things that you should know to make especially great shots. But when you want to express yourself, when you want to make something creative for yourself, and you see how different your results from the pros results, you understand that you need something, you need some tool to at least leverage this difference of the level.
Yeah.
So that's why we are here. So with our tools, we at least give you the ability to make your image as you imagined it. You saw these beautiful pictures all over the world. How beautiful sunsets, like in the mountains or near the sea, are happening, and you trying to do the same, and you see the difference, and that's why you need maybe some tools to make you happy actually.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it because yeah, as you said, it's so much from like hobbyist enthusiasts to pro. There is a huge knowledge gap, as you said, and I think like going back, I think about like me getting into drones. Like
Yeah.
I'm a mechatronics engineer by
Wow.
by background, so for me it's easy. Like I have to build the custom drones, but for me that's not a barrier of entry because like I already knew how to solder, already knew how to electronics work, but many people they don't get into FPV because they don't want to learn all these things. They just want to fly for fun, and it's fine. But yeah, with all the barrier of entry, some people they don't fly not because they don't want to, but they don't want to go through that process, right?
Yeah, you see, it's like all the photography. I think it's more like technical hobby because you have all this gear. You like to switch all those controls, to press all those buttons, and with drone photography also, you need to know a lot of things about meteorology, about the wind, about all those like flight rules, where you can fly, control zones, and so on. So. Lot of information, and I understand that technical minds, they want this complexity, they want like a lot of things just to know, to study, to experiment, to to combine, and that's why I think it's funny, it's really funny, and but we understand that because of that, somehow when you start doing something, it can seem very very complex, and sometimes you just need a friend that can take your hand and just go through all of this stuff with you and show some shortcuts that will make you happy just in few clicks, just in few minutes. And this is something that makes your passion be more and more, like you want to try more and more, want to try and experiment different things, and but it happens when only you think that you can achieve it. So this is the thing what we want to give actually.
Yeah, keep people motivated
Yes,
to
yeah, yeah, yeah.
express, because in the end, even though photography is a very technical thing, I see it as a form of art. So it's a form
Yes,
of
definitely.
expressing yourself. And if you have barriers to express yourself, you get frustrated, right? And the more we can like bridge this gap between having to be technical and having to be creative, I think we just like pushing people towards creativity and not like being held back because they don't understand how to, as you said, like which f stop exactly get
Yes,
that.
yes, yes.
And it's funny, it's because it's yeah, like one of the most things in photo and in video, when I show my work from other people, they're like, oh, what camera do you have? They
Ah,
think it's
yes,
all about
yes.
camera, right? And it's like there is so much more. And
Uh,
then I told them like this. I mean, it matters, but it's not the main thing. Let's not go in like gear matter. It doesn't, because then it could be another topic for a whole podcast. But basically, like there's so much knowledge behind it that you have to go through, which is takes time and effort. And then the more we can tell people like, okay, it doesn't really matter if you get something wrong. Focus on the message you want to convey to the world. And then, like, for example, Luminar with all these tools, like, we want to make it easier for you to
yeah.
express your message, right? Instead of being held back with all the technical side of it.
Yeah, definitely. In all those creative things, it's very needed just to let it slim. Like to take one wave at a time, as like surf instructors told. Like, do not overwhelm yourself with all those details and forget about the main thing. Like, we laugh inside companies that we know a lot of very cool photographers who do not know about cameras anything. They just picking camera, doing shot, looking at the shot, and like it's good or not.
Yep.
And uh, they know only maybe few things, how to switch ISO or like how to switch aperture, and that's it.
Mhm.
And I know a lot of photographers who know everything about cameras, everything about all adjusters, but they do not focus on the creative vision. And
Mhm.
for me personally, I think that creative vision is first. And
Yep.
it's creativity is always about a bit egoistic, hobby, because it's like you want to create something and to own it, to own your idea in the scene, and it's very needed, I think, for everyone in this world to make something by his own and as he thought it would be good. And I think in photography and other creative hobbies, it's needed just to experiment, 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 and to have fun in the process. And do not overwhelm yourself with all this stuff. What tripod should I use? What camera should I use? Is it lens so good for this shot or not? It's it doesn't matter. Like it can make a bit better your result, but your idea is priceless. Actually, the most important thing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that yeah, some events back that we did with Beazy, there was one enthusiast that was like going more into photography, and then he was like, "Oh, can I get these type of shots with my camera? What about these other ones and these other ones?" I was like, "You can get all these kind of shots even with a cell phone. It's not about like the exact. It's mainly like you have to start from what do you want,
Yes.
like what is the end result that you want, and from there you kind of like in the reverse engineering in the
Yeah.
technical
What you
language.
what you have? Yeah. Yeah.
And then go like, okay, for this result maybe I need, for example, I want a shallow depth of field, and then you can study how you get there. But if you know all the technicalities but you don't have an end goal in mind, you're never gonna get to this goal, because you don't know, you know all the technical, but you don't have the vision. And
Yes.
I always say that like the best photographers, they just click what is already in their heads, because most of the time you see the picture even before you hold the camera in your hand, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're looking around and you're looking at frames already, and then you say like, okay, this is a nice frame that I want to capture, and then you take, and then you do the lens choice, the composition, to get to that thing that you want to express, right? Um, yeah, so I think like we talked a lot about creativity and everything, but there is also the technical
Oh yeah.
side. And I think like one of the technical side from the product that you guys develop is AI, and AI
Oh
is a dreaded topic that many people like. Oh, AI is gonna replace everything, you know,
yeah.
and then because the more we can hand over to machine learning AI, the less you have to do to be technical. And this, I think, it's a very interesting topic to get into, because I'm really actually curious also to know your thoughts on all this. I have my personal opinions. I think we both are engineers, so
Yeah.
we have a more like, okay, machines are not bad, you know.
They are
Before,
not our enemies.
yeah, before I started with the creative industry, as I said, my background is in mechatronics
Uh-huh.
engineering, so I literally used to build robots. You
Wow.
know? This is the kind of work that I did a bit before, not like robots as in automated machines, which is the basic
Mhm.
concept of robots, right? Um, I like first thing like when I used to work in the industry, and I was like, oh, I work with mechatronics engineering, and people are like, oh, so you build robots? I was like,
Yeah.
yes. And instead, like some people are like, oh, that's so cool, and they're like, why robots are gonna like take
Yeah.
over the world? Like this is not like the science fiction, you know, like robots are here to help, and they're like, oh, but they're gonna replace a lot of jobs. And in
Yeah.
a sense it's true, right? Because there are some jobs that are like, I don't know, you're just, and this is not the robots, right? Because before, if you go way back in the day, to to put a screw in a wall, you would have to have like manually turn and everything. And these days you can have like this electronic, and this in a sense it's automating the process, right? So the jobs are repetitive. There is like very, no, you do the same thing over and over again. They probably gonna be replaced because nobody wants to do these jobs.
Yes.
And then if you go now to like Gen Z and this new generation, there is some jobs that people need, like I don't know, painters in constructions and all these, that they can't find people to do it anymore because people don't find the job interesting. So I think like the technology comes to replace these jobs that nobody wants to do, and then yeah, open up. It's an ever evolving market and world in this way, right? So I want to really have your thoughts first. Like your product is very based in AI.
Yeah.
Um, how do you think creatives are gonna, the relationship between AI and creatives? Is AI replacing photographers? Is AI just helping? What is your take on that?
I would say that when we look back to the history of the humanity, we understand that if something creates value, of the people of the world want to automate it and make more value. But when something is automated, uh, less people are needed. The same was with factories on the beginning of the 19th century and before that. So each every century we have massive switch in context of the all the not only creative but all the specialities in the world. And I understand that as well as AI will change the market of creative technologies and creative workers. The same, it will change the market of drivers, for example, or the same of technical engineers, because AI is just another thing that makes us as people of the world think in another way on problems that we have in medicine, in actually almost every sphere of our life. There will be huge changes, and we understand, for example, that in engineers, those changes will be the fastest, because right now already a lot of coding and engineering is done by AI. And in our application, we understand that what does AI? uh, before AI, we had a lot of algorithms that were done by our R&D team about image manipulation, about all those computer vision technologies, and AI just made it a bit faster to adapt some new solutions. And because of that, we understood that, for example, all chip makers also optimized their process for working with neural networks, such as Apple Silicon and other chips. So we understand that the era of AI in service of all creative professionals, AI will definitely affect. But for this century, I would say that it's more about helping to make better results, to achieve something more professionally looking in terms of anything. Photos, videos, graphics, motion graphics, everything will be somehow influenced by the technologies in the better way. But definitely, I think the whole sphere will change, and those guys who came to the sphere just to earn money, but not because they love what they do, uh, they would switch to another thing because just create something interesting and earn on it. It will be much harder. This is my opinion.
Yeah, I love what you're saying about we are in the stage that AI is there to help, right? And then I see that like even with Luminar, actually I got to know about the product because we actually did also way back like 2019, I think, one workshop with Kate is one of the
Yes.
ambassadors, and she was showing like how she uses that, and she's like a professional photographer doing like fashion editorial and all that thing, and she used it like just to speed up her process, so it's just a help that she would take, I don't know, 20 minutes doing dodge and burn in a photo that
Mm-hmm.
she now can take like 5 minutes and then having that 15 minutes saved to work on other stuff. And I think that is the beauty of AI and technology that we see these days. And I think the term from the people that are not in technology, it's very heavy, like
Yes.
artificial intelligence. They're
Yeah.
gonna be a computer thinking by themselves, and like how are we gonna treat, like how we gonna live together. But in reality, it's just doing like the same process over and over again, so you don't have to do the same thing over and over again.
It's like more efficient algorithm. You before the AI, all algorithms, the complexity of them was about the complexity of thoughts and ideas of your team. AI just makes it more accurate, and AI just makes it I don't know, more simple. But the only thing is for creating something based on AI, you need another engineering stuff. But nowadays, AI does not do any decisions by itself. It's all about the authors who created it. So author create and gives his own opinion what is good or what is bad, and the AI just can repeat it very precisely. This is how it works. It's not about like really some, I don't know, some computers that will decide would you die or would you live. It's like it's more about helping and making some boring stuff easier and faster.
Yeah. And going back to what you touched about, that we've been doing this for centuries, right?
Yes,
Like
yes.
it's just a different thing. As you said, like we used to have people that would go and like tighten screws for the
Yes, yes, yes.
machines, and then I always remember modern times, that Charlie Chaplin movie is like
Yes, yeah.
a good way to see, like what AI can do to us these days. And going back to, like, for example, the dodge and burn. The dodge and burn is something that you have to do over and over again. And you have like step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you just repeat those steps over and over again. So now AI is just coming and making the process more streamlined. So you can just decide, okay, the AI did this. Is this the actual result that I would do as well, or should I do any changes to get to what I want? So it's just they're saving you time to repeat this process over and over again,
Yeah,
right?
we treat it like you have some energy for your creativity. It's not a big amount actually, and when we talking to our customers, we divide all the processes that they have into boring ones and creative ones. You have boring processes. You need to copy your shots to the application, to your computer. You need to select the best ones, but only you know what are the best for you. You need to do pre-processing of all the images before starting. You need to do a lot of not interesting stuff just to start creating something. And all those, I think, not very interesting things, they are killing your creativity because you spend a lot of time on preparation, but not on the thing of what you imagine to implement. And because of that, we think that AI here is to help and to save all your energy, and you are able to create not one but two, three, four. I don't know how it's for you, but for example, for me, when I usually when my wife asks photographer to come and to make photos of my family, I usually wait like for 2 to 3 weeks to take photos back, and I asking photographers, they are all our partners, clients, what are you looking for? Why it's so long time takes to get my photos back? And they like, first of all, we all hate post processing. Second thing that we need to think about the idea of the photo session and how we feel the color. And after that, we want just to implement our vision to your photos, and then we are ready to get you back. And because of that, I understand that here all this boring stuff is not needed at all. The only thing that they need to do, they need to have ideas of colors, and they need the fast way to implement it. And because of that, for me, the huge win will be if I got my photos back in 1 day or 2 days, but not 2 3 weeks.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. Um, yeah, let's in another topic that I wrote down here that
Yeah,
I really want to get your thoughts about it. Because now, as you said, we're getting like more and more streamlined and like faster process. But in the other hand, it's also a huge rise in, for example, analog
oh
photography,
yeah.
right? Like Kodak, I was reading an article the other day that Kodak is now hiring more than ever. They need chemists and all the people to produce the films because now that everybody has a digital camera in their pocket, everything is so like fast as well that people are feeling that like, okay, I want to slow down, right?
I think it's about boundaries. Creativity is always about your boundaries that you have. If you have smartphones that can do very high quality image of anything everywhere, you cannot express your own vision because there is no thing when you can say that it's special. Is how you saw that thing, and because it's accessible for everyone, and because of that I think it's like like some kind of decline. You want some boundaries to create something special, something that others guys cannot create. And that's why, yeah, definitely I think I see also the rise of those film and photography, and I think that's really cool because you have only one shot, you
Yeah.
cannot edit it at least. Yeah, yeah, you can do some techniques like dodging and burning and so on, but actually there is not such a big variety of tools that can be used. And I think this is really cool. I think that other ideas of different creative tools will, I think, be created every year because we need something that will say that what we do is really special. The same actually with us and with our technologies. We refuse to do a lot of commercial projects to concentrate just on photography and photography technologies because Yes, this is boundary, but this boundary makes us think more creatively about what we can introduce new, what can be done in other way, not the way that other companies do. And that's, I think, everything about creativity.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how you talk about how you can push creativity with boundaries. Because I don't know, there is a quote for someone I remember like vaguely, but it's like the best way to get more creative is to create boundaries.
Yes.
Because if you can do anything, you know, you have every single tool at your disposal, you're not getting too creative because there's like way too many options, right?
Yeah.
So
It's marketing actually law. So you need to have only one or two options to make a choice. If you have more than five options, it's probably you will not choose anything
yeah,
because it's too much. And this how it works. Because if we are very quickly overwhelmed with all the opportunities we have, and why for me I have my camera with me and I have only one lens. It's 22 millimeters fixed. I don't need anything else because it's better to walk and to find the angle and to find the scene. Just not about like having zoom lens and trying like doing all it's all from the one place. My brain does not work in such way. You need to find, you need to check a lot of things to find that frame and to make that shot that you will really like.
yeah. Yeah, I love it because for me, in my point of view as well, is exactly that. You kind of need both, and that I think the more we go towards this path of
Hmm.
optimizing, we're gonna find a way to create restrictions
Yes,
in
yes.
order to be more creative, right? Because if you have everything like just completely streamline everything, you lose that thing of like, okay, I can create anything. What
Yeah.
I'm gonna create, you know? And then I think it's a good exercise, as you were saying, like have a fixed lens or like shooting in film, that you have to be way more purposeful with the shot, and then you can gather the knowledge you acquired by imposing restrictions, and then you get a bit more creative, and then you can streamline the process
Yeah.
with all the tools. So yeah, I'm also like a big fan of these, balance between really fast and turnarounds really quickly, and also like slowing down,
Yes. Yeah.
taking
Yeah. Yeah.
time. And I think this is a trend that it's not even only in the creative industry, in photography. You see these like, oh, it's slow fashion, slow cool,
Yeah. Yeah.
slow
Yeah.
everything, because we got to a point that everything is so easy to do, so you can do everything so fast that people are losing the spark.
Actually, I think this is the part. Like previous 10 years, everyone was focused to gain new skills. Like to make perfect shots with those cameras or with drawing and so on. With those new tech that is coming every year, we understand that skills is not the guarantee of that you're actual. It's more about what you saw, what experience you had, and because of that, right now it's more about feeling, but than just running and looking on something and trying doing some things. You need to have your own experience, and then to express your own experience, your own vision with different tools. It doesn't matter hardware or software. Your vision actually in your masterpiece, not looking about what is popular right now or what is trendy. It's about being in connect with your creation, and you cannot do it very fast actually.
So we talked a lot of the current state of
Yeah.
AI, and now I want to get your opinion a bit on the future of
Oh.
AI. We've been seeing a lot of a sneak peek of what the future could look like with, for example, these generative
Oh
images,
yeah.
and there is so much still to unpack with like metaverse, AI generated imagery, and everything that is like very, very in the beginning. So right now, we were talking about the AI is mainly here to help, but it's gonna get to a point that maybe you can create full images like for marketing purpose without even needing a photographer.
Yeah, I
Right?
think so. I think not only images, I think videos also, as well as text, as well as music, everything, because AI actually goes there where is money and where is a purpose. First ones who will use fully generated images for marketing, they will use it because it will be just cheap. It's much cheaper than to do it by photographer or designer. But what I'm thinking about is that, on other hand, all those technologies are really making metaverse our future, because before those technologies, when we thought and we saw what's happening in the metaverse, it's a more idealistic picture of how the future can be than a real thing, because you have so much more things in this reality, with all the feelings, not only with your eyes, with all the materials and so on. And with AI, I think, with all those stable diffusion and the other generative networks, we can create much more realistic things in metaverse much faster than it could be done before. And because of that, I would say that the main reason and the main purpose where all those generative technologies will go, they will make our metaverse future more closer to us, because even now there are already experiments of making feeling of materials in metaverse the same as you can feel with your hand, for example. Thanks to AI, it can be much easier, and I think that it will help a lot, because like our world is really cool, is really interesting, but there are some places and sometimes that you need to be in virtual reality. For example, right now during world conflicts and during some not very good situations, you can just go to VR and to work, for example, and this will be easier and easier in the nearest future. I would say that in 2 years we would do all the podcasts in VR.
In VR.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
nice.
think so.
Yeah, and like if we go that route, that like we can simply generate very
Yeah.
realistic imagery with just inputting text. How do you see the work of the photographer, or what today is the photographer, the creative? Let us put it this way, right? Because for me, like when I see this, there is two sides, right? Like the photographer, maybe as we know today,
Hmm.
that the guy that picks the camera, that goes to a studio and create the lighting and have all this technical knowledge,
Hmm.
sorry, to create this image. He's there to do that, right? But if you can do the same things with inputting text, what is going to be the purpose of the creative? I'm avoiding
Yeah,
photographer
yeah, yeah.
because for me, I see a time like in one of these possible futures that is me as a creative, my input is gonna be what matters, and not really like taking the tool, the camera, and taking the photo. And I think like for me, I don't think we can replace human factor like completely at some point, because yeah, this today I just saw one of the Dali like memes. Somebody inputted like a salmon
Yeah,
swimming
yeah, yeah,
down the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
river,
yeah, yes.
and there was
It's
like
funny. Fill out of salmon swimming.
fillet
Yeah.
of salmons going down the river. So AI also like gets wrong. So you need that human say like, okay, this is computer generated, but is this something that we want? Like, is this the emotion? Going back to what you're saying, right?
I think that with all this new stuff, ideas will cost more than skills, because photographer, we now talking about like the profession of the guy behind the camera, and we understand that when you know all about the camera, it doesn't matter about the camera. It's all about your idea, how you see and how you feel the scene. And because of that, we understand that this is the most valuable thing because yeah, some brand needs something, but the creative person is someone who can manage and connect the vision of the brand manager, for example, and the visual thing, the visual picture of how it can be, and all the other stuff, cameras, or it can be, like music, or it can be like light on the scene, is something that can be emulated, but the idea will be that something that separates guys who can create and who cannot create. And as we talked before, if you're just a cameraman and know everything about the camera, but you do not have your own vision, actually you can't seem that you're a creative person, but it's not about that. And the creative vision is the thing that is all behind all the scenes. So this is, I think, what we need to train, and that's why if you want to be actual, go to museums, look on something beautiful, and imagine what you can create and how it can be shown.
Perfect. I think that's the perfect way to end this conversation. I really enjoyed having the conversation with you. I hope the audience could pick a lot on what AI is, the state of AI, what can we expect, and yeah, like pretty much I think the biggest takeaway is, as a creative, focus on the art and
Yeah.
not the skills, because yeah, we're moving more and more towards a world that skill won't matter that much as the creativity, right? The idea. So yeah, first, thank you a lot for the conversation.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, any last words? Where people can find you, or how can they see this amazing photo editor based in AI?
Oh yeah, we just releasing full extension pack for Luminar Neo. Just go to Skylum.com and you'll see the whole beauty that now technologies can give to you. I hope you'll love it. Thank
Perfect.
you.
Thank you very much. We're gonna wrap up this episode here. We see you guys in the next one, and until then, keep creating.